What's up, everybody? This is the Sports League Podcast, back for another week. I'm your host, Alex League, and this is the March Madness 2024 March Madness Sweet 16 preview. As you can see, I've got my bracket up based on I did my picks for the first two rounds, and I did all right. I could have done better, but I did all right. We'll start in the East bracket where UConn blew out Stetson, beat Northwestern pretty handily. So UConn goes to the Sweet 16 like we all expected, or most of us expected. San Diego State, you know, barely beat UAB, a tough, hard-fought game there. And I think a lot of us were tripped up by Yale shocking Auburn. I think a lot of us thought Auburn was going to win that, and we were going to get that Auburn-San Diego State matchup in the second round. But Yale beats Auburn, and it's disappointing because Yale didn't give San Diego State much of a matchup at all. San Diego State looked great in the process, and it sets up a really interesting national championship rematch of San Diego State against UConn in the Sweet 16. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm rooting for the Aztecs. I'm rooting for San Diego State like crazy. Do they have enough to get the win this time? I'm not sure, but that's what I'm rooting for. So go Aztecs. Go San Diego State. Jaden Leday is a hell of a player, and we'll see if they can get it done. I know Dan Hurley is going to have the Huskies ready to go. They're one of the best teams in the entire country, if not the best. Like they're going to be, they're the defending champs for a reason, so they're going to be tough to beat. But let's go San Diego State. Yeah, I really wish Auburn had won that over Yale because Auburn San Diego State would have been a much better game. But you can't get it done. You lose to Yale. You don't deserve to go the second round. So San Diego State, they're tough out. I mean, I said here with Jaden Ledet. So they're a great defensive team, and we'll see how they do against UConn. In a rematch. But I'm rooting for the Aztecs like crazy. I hope they win and get to the Elite Eight. Duquesne beat BYU. I called that one. Illinois over Morehead State, and Morehead State gave them a decent matchup. It wasn't until the second half, midway through the second half, that Illinois really pulled away. But Illinois kicked Duquesne's ass to get to the Sweet 16, and Terrence Shannon and the Fighting Illini, in my opinion, are a team very capable of going to the Final Four, of going to a national championship game. They're a team capable of beating UConn. So I've got them, beating Iowa State. I'm not a huge Iowa State fan. Um, I picked Drake to beat Washington State. They couldn't quite get it done. Good win, Washington State, but uh, Iowa State, regardless, I had them going to the Sweet 16, but I don't think they're good enough to beat Illinois. So give me Illinois to go to the Elite Eight, and I'm rooting for San Diego State. I want San Diego State versus Illinois. Now, UConn is probably, they're probably the better team. They could go here. If UConn does win and it's Illinois UConn, I'm picking Illinois to go to the Final Four. So I'm riding with Illinois in the East. That's my team. I mentioned them when I first picked it. They were, they're the best team to beat UConn. I'm rooting for San Diego State, but my faith is in Illinois. Regardless of who wins this, I'm taking Illinois to win the East and go to the Final Four. So that's my pick there. So let's go Fighting Illini and Terrence Shannon and those boys. Let's go to the West bracket. North Carolina rolls past Wagner, beats Michigan State pretty handedly. Armando Bacot, R.J. Davis. That's a solid North Carolina team over there. They have a very good chance of going to the Final Four, to the national championship. Um, I got this wrong right here. So I had Charleston beating Bama. That didn't happen. And I had St. Mary's beating Grand Canyon. I don't know too many people that had the Grand Canyon winning that. I had a lot of faith in St. Mary's, but they didn't get it done. So Grand Canyon went to the second round. Bama took care of business, beat Charleston, beat Grand Canyon. So now we've got a Bama North Carolina matchup in the Sweet 16. I'm riding with North Carolina. I think they win that one probably pretty easily. I have a lot of faith in North Carolina to get to the Elite Eight. Question is, who will they face? Um, I was wrong here as well. I picked New Mexico over Clemson. I was definitely wrong. Uh, and then I had Baylor beating New Mexico. And Clemson surprised me. I did not think Clemson was even going to win a game in this tournament, let alone beat Baylor and get to the Sweet 16. So props to Clemson for proving me wrong, getting to the Sweet 16. And I'm kind of rooting for them. They're fun to watch. They're a fun team, and we'll see how they match up against Arizona. Dayton blows like a 16-point lead in the second half to Dayton and loses that game. I was confident. I thought Nevada was going to steal that one. They blow a big lead. Dayton gets in. But regardless, no one was really a matchup for Arizona. So Arizona Baylor was the matchup I wanted to see here. We're not getting that. Instead, it's Arizona Clemson. I got Arizona here. So I think we're going to see Arizona North Carolina. I'll root for Clemson. But my faith is in Arizona, North Carolina, and then I'm going to take North Carolina to get to the Final Four out of the West. So then the question will be, who do they face? Is it North Carolina, Illinois? Is it North Carolina, UConn? You know, that's the most likely scenario I see. Uh, I'd love to see San Diego State get back, but Illinois and UConn are two tough matchups, and I love Illinois. So if you're gonna ask me for my gut for who's gonna play in the Final Four, I'm gonna give you Illinois versus North Carolina. That's my pick as of right now, going into the Sweet 16. Um, let's look at the South bracket. Houston takes care of business, beats Longwood by 40, blows them out, and then it needs overtime to beat Texas A&M, but gets the job done. So Houston gets to the Sweet 16, but there's pressure on them as that 1 seed. They almost got tripped up by the 9 seed Texas A&M Aggies. I picked Texas A&M to beat Nebraska, got that one right, and Houston survives to get that win. This is where I got it wrong. I thought Wisconsin could get to the Sweet 16. They got tripped up against James Madison, so I was definitely wrong there. I had Duke over Vermont. I didn't have Duke over Wisconsin, but Duke didn't have to play them. They take on James Madison and win that one by, damn near 40 points. So Duke versus Houston is actually a great matchup. And I'm gonna surprise some people here. I'm gonna ride with Duke. Duke proved me wrong, and I'm gonna ride with Duke to get to the Elite Eight. I got Duke over Houston here. Houston has to prove it to me. I like Houston. But the pressure of being a 1 seed, it seems like a tough ask for me. I think that Duke is the experience. They've been here before, and they're going to handle the pressure a lot better than Houston. I got Duke winning this to go to the Elite Eight. I was right here with NC State over Texas Tech. I was right with Oakland over Kentucky, and then I was right with NC State over Oakland. Um, Oakland over Kentucky, I don't know. I just had a gut feeling that was going to happen, and I was rooting for Oakland a little bit. This was a great game because I didn't really care who won this one. It was just a fun matchup, 11 versus 14 in the second round. NC State got the job done, and I'm rooting for NC State really the rest of the way. I would love to see an 11 seed NC State make it to the Final Four. Um, I was wrong about Florida. I had the Gators beating Colorado, but Colorado got the job done. And they gave Marquette a hell of a matchup, but couldn't quite get the win. So Marquette, NC State. I'm rooting for NC State to get here. So my prediction as of right now is NC State Duke in the Elite Eight. two upsets. Now it could easily be Houston Marquette. Uh, honestly, my gut might be Duke Marquette. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna go. My pick for the South bracket is Duke NC State, which would be a lot of fun. 4 versus 11 in the Elite Eight. And then I'm going to ride with NC State. I can't pick against them. I love the way that they ran the table on the SEC conference tournament and won the ACC. I'm rooting for NC State to get to the Final Four. They're a fun team right now, and let's go. Let's get this job done. So, can they beat Marquette? If they can, I got NC State Duke. I don't think Houston gets there. I think Duke. So NC State Duke in the Elite Eight, and then I'm gonna pick NC State to go to the Final Four. I am 11 seed NC State. Um, you know, prove me right. NC State, you're a lot of fun to watch. So let's go to the Midwest. Purdue takes care of Grambling State. They take care of Utah. They blow Utah State. They blow Utah State out. But here comes the real test: Purdue Gonzaga. And Zach Edey is a monster. I'm not gonna say he's not. He's tough to beat. Um, but people have been sleeping on Gonzaga, I feel like, all year. Like people weren't giving Gonzaga enough credit in the regular season. They just haven't been giving Gonzaga enough credit. And Gonzaga, Kansas, they beat them by 20 plus, by 21 points. Gonzaga, Purdue, I think this is where Purdue gets beat. I got Gonzaga going to the Elite Eight. I could be wrong. Purdue is a very strong team. Purdue has the ability to go on a Final Four national championship game type of run, especially with Zach Edey. But give me Gonzaga to go to the Elite Eight. Over here, Oregon over South Carolina, I got that right. Creighton over Oregon, I got that right. But I was wrong about Tennessee, and I was dead wrong in the fact that they blew out St. Peter's. I had St. Peter's in the Sweet 16. Dead wrong. They didn't even really pose a threat to Tennessee here. Got absolutely obliterated. Tennessee, Texas. I didn't trust Texas, so it makes sense that it's Tennessee, Creighton now. I'm going to ride with Creighton here. So my Elite Eight is Creighton, Gonzaga, and I'm rooting for Gonzaga, the 5 seed, to get to the Final Four. I think there's something about this Gonzaga team. If they can beat Purdue, I think they win. They win this round as well. So I'm rooting for Gonzaga, NC State in the Final Four. That would be a lot of fun. A 5 versus an 11. And then Illinois, North Carolina. So based on that, the two teams that I'm rooting for the hardest, who do I want? My personal preference for a national championship game is Illinois, NC State. That's who I'm rooting for. Last year, I was all in on San Diego State. They got to the national championship game but couldn't finish it. 2 years ago, it was North Carolina, and who was it? North Carolina and Kansas. And then North Carolina had that huge halftime lead and then blew it. And I was rooting for North Carolina then. So we'll see. My luck lately has been that my team gets to the national championship game and can't finish the job. So we'll see what happens this year. But we're heading into the Sweet 16. I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of great basketball this weekend. And my teams are Illinois and NC State. Let's go. I want to see that matchup. Keep an eye on Gonzaga to shock some people. Gonzaga Purdue is going to be a great game. If Purdue wins this, I think they go to the Final Four. I don't think Creighton or Tennessee can beat Purdue. The only team in the Midwest, in my opinion, that can beat Purdue is Gonzaga. So we'll see if they can do it. I'm rooting for Gonzaga. Duke is a threat to go to the Final Four as well. And my pick is Duke, NC State. Now, NC State has the ability to beat Marquette. They have the ability to beat Houston. They have the ability to beat Duke. It's up to NC State to finish the job. They're a very talented team. Forget about that 11 seed. They're a very talented team, and they're going to be a tough out. Can they finish the job? Can they continue to play at the highest level? Because I think they can beat Marquette. But that's going to be a great game as well. This is going to be a great game. I got Duke. I'm riding with Duke. I'm riding with Gonzaga over here. This is where I got the one seeds falling. Let's go San Diego State. Um, and the only one seed that I trust is North Carolina, and I think they win. I got them over all three of these teams, whoever it is, to get to the Final Four. So North Carolina, I trust with Armando Bacot, R.J. Davis, uh, and those boys. But Hubert Davis, at head coach, I watched him play in the NBA with the Knicks. But the question is, can San Diego State beat UConn? I love Illinois. Illinois, NC State. Those are my two teams. So we'll see what happens here. But it's going to be a fun rest of the tournament. I hope you guys are enjoying it so far. Stay tuned. We're going to keep these episodes coming out. We've got a lot of great content. Uh, Final Four, we might have a big interview. If not, we'll have that for the NBA playoffs. We've got NFL draft coverage, NFL free agency. Like, just stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button. We're going to have lots of content. If you're a sports fan, whether it's college basketball, NBA, NFL, whatever it is, hit that subscribe button and follow along. We're going to have interviews, big name guests on, and hella content. So, it's been a little slow, a little dicey of late, but we're going to have a lot more content here in the next week or so. So stay tuned for that. I appreciate all you guys. Appreciate the support. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you disagree with my picks, comment. Tell me where I'm going to be wrong. Um, and appreciate all you guys. So have a great week and peace.